My name is Chris with eXp, and I get this question quite a bit from different people. Is it cheaper in San Diego County to rent a home or to own a home? If you've ever dreamed of saving tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars for later on in life, you're going to want to watch this video. One thing that's important to keep in mind is that everyone, no matter who they are, renting or owning, is paying a mortgage. If you're a renter, you're paying for the landlord's mortgage, and you're paying for a little bit of profit from him. Now, there are some advantages to renting. I won't say there aren't. Sometimes you have a place where you don't have to cut the lawn, or you don't have to take care of the roof, and that's great. But over time, you're spending a lot of money paying for a place to live that you have no ownership in and you gain no equity from. Equity is just a fancy word for saying money. It's a fancy word for saying profit. You gain zero equity when it comes to renting an apartment or a home as compared to owning. Let's take a look at this graph so I can demonstrate visually for you the differences between renting and owning. Now, the first thing you're going to want to see is there is a renter's graph. And the renter's graph has a diagonal line going up, which indicates the price of rent. Statistically, here in San Diego, rents have gone up 20% in the last 2 years. It's inevitable that your rent will go up now or later, and over time, it continues to go up. Historically, we've never seen rents actually drop. Also on this graph, you're going to see the equity line. It goes straight across the bottom. As I just mentioned, you're not going to be able to benefit from renting your home. Now, on the other graph, we've got the buyers, the owner's graph, which has a diagonal line as well, and that's the equity line. If you own your home for even more than just a few years, the equity in your home will build. Historically, over time, it's 6% per year, but in the last few years, we've seen them skyrocket. The equity build, the value that's built in there, continues to rise, and that's kind of like money in your savings account. You don't touch it unless you refinance it out, and it saves up over time to build wealth for your family. Now, on that same graph, we have a straight line across the bottom, which is your mortgage line. Your mortgage doesn't change over time, as long as you have a fixed rate interest rate, okay? So your mortgage will stay the same, your price will stay the same. So if you look at the diagonal line on the renter's graph, and you look at the straight line on the owner's graph, that's the same thing, okay? Rents do go up over time, but mortgages typically don't. So fast forward for a moment, 20 years from now, you've been paying rent on your apartment month after month after year after year. Do you think your rent's gone up? Of course it has. Do you think you've gained any equity? No, you're still renting. Now, you've owned a home, you bought a home. Maybe it was even tough to make the mortgage at the beginning, and now you've had it for 20 years. Your mortgage hasn't changed. You're paying the same amount you did the first day you bought the home. That's the cool part about buying real estate. That's what I believe in about buying real estate. It's powerful for the everyday person like you and me. But what does happen when you're an owner? Over 20 years, you will gain massive amounts of equity. You will have that money to put into college funds or refinance into another house. You'll be able to maybe buy a bigger house or buy a smaller house or buy an RV and drive around the country, whatever you want to do. What's extra cool to think about here is that you and the bank buy the house together, but you don't put in all the money, unless you're buying cash, all cash. You only put in a little bit of portion of the money, but you gain from the equity that's built in the home. And the bank doesn't come back and say, hey, we want some of that equity. We loaned you that. Remember we loaned you all that money 20 years ago? They don't do that. You benefit from the equity. So if you put 20% in, you benefit from 100% of the equity. Pretty cool. Here's an extra benefit you might not have known. The interest on the loan that you pay every month in your mortgage, you get to write off your taxes. Talk to your tax consultant about this. As soon as they hear that you've bought a home, they're going to want a receipt for how much interest you paid. And you get that from your bank every year, no problem. You give it to the tax person and you write that off your taxes. So now you have a basic decision to make. Do you want a renter's graph or a buyer's graph? Which one works for you? Do you want to be building equity over time? Do you want to see that increase in the value of your home that you own and that you're paying for? Or would you rather continue to rent, pay somebody else's mortgage, and have a landlord? People come to me all the time with no idea on how much they can afford to buy. And they're surprised sometimes at what they can afford and the programs that are out there to help them buy a home. First-time home buyer programs are the best. So if you're getting ready to buy, reach out to me, message me, text me, or send me an email, and let's connect and get a strategy for you so you can buy a home and become an owner and stop renting today.